are concerned. This coming at the backdrop of President William Ruto's address to the state this afternoon, trying to take stock of what his government has been able to achieve. So what exactly will it be? Will it be a statement that is a feel-good statement of the government of the day, or a statement that addresses the real issues affecting the people of the country, taking stock of where we are, and the direction of where we are supposed to be going? Welcome to our continued coverage here on K24. My name is Brian Amuai as we bring you live proceedings on the issues of the State of the Nation that is supposed to be happening at 2:30 in the National Assembly. And of course, joining me on set to make sense of this particular event is Professor Fred Ogola, who is an economic and governance expert. Thank you so much for making time.
Thank you very much, Brian.
And also Steve Biko, who is a human rights expert from Inform Action Kenya. Thank you so much, Steve, for making time for this coverage here at K24. And I want us to start with this, Prof. What we should make of this particular State of the Nation address. What exactly should it be?
So, thank you very much, Brian, and thank you very much for our viewers, and I wish Kenyans a very good time. You know, we are now getting into Christmas, and people are now talking about the State of the Nation. I'm sure everybody is looking at their scorecard. So not just the president, but I'm sure everybody is looking at their scorecard for the year. So first of all, what we expect from here is that the State of the Nation is a constitutional thing. It's not a day to do all the campaigns. It's not about a campaign. It's a constitutional requirement that every year the president submits the State of the Nation address to Parliament that will be debated in Parliament before the MPs go for recess. They should tell the nation, where were we last year? No, last year in 2023, the president gave the State of the Nation. Where were we then? What did I promise we are going to do to take us here when now we are in 2024? And I want to highlight a few of them. One, he promised that he's going to deploy 100,000 community health promoters. He said that he's going to hire 56,000 teachers. He was going to say the growth in NSSF to 6 billion per month. He talks about the new fish landing sites to be established in Mombasa. Reduction of the price of fertilizer from 6,000 to 2,000. Military equipment to come from NYS, and he said he was going to give to hire have 30,000 digitized government services on the e-citizen, and one which was actually very laughable, that he was going to give Kenyans 25,000 free Wi-Fi hotspots everywhere. Okay. Now, if you look here, there are a few things which has been done, of course, achieved. Fertilizer, actually, that is done. And I think I can only talk about fertilizer among all this because teachers are still saying they're not employed, isn't it? CHVs, community health promoters are still complaining, healthcare is in trouble. So the State of the Nation address will tell you, this is where we were, these are the measures I took to bring us here we are. And now that we are here, I'll do the following measures to take us there. So I'm thinking it should be a very honest discussion on things that now in the, let's say in the surface of where the church has come and said, let's be truthful, let us not be dishonest, let us not lie. So it should be actually the first chance the president has to start writing on a clean slate by now, avoiding all the paraphernalias, avoiding all the PR, and just tell us where we are. And remember that State of the Nation should talk on the issue of national values. Okay. Chapter 6 of the Constitution should be told, how has the president ensured to further national value, integrity, fight against corruption, the issue of handling public resources, integrity, and also there should be the issues about Bill of Rights. How have you furthered the Bill of Rights, the issue of rights to expression, the issue now is here, abductions have been ongoing here. Even Kenya have succeeded to abduct opposition leader, Besigye. I was even actually saying the president should have a very good person in State House to give him a media strategy. You cannot have a headline of Besigye being abducted on the front page of the newspaper when you are doing your State of the Nation address. So you could see basically Kenya explaining the issue of security, health, education being addressed, and just ensuring how our borders are safe. And then also, how can people know how your next 1 year plan be so that Kenyans go to Christmas saying, I'm going to behave this way because the president's pronouncement shows that this is the most important segment of the economy, healthcare, and the rest.
All right, Steve, let me come to you. There's a lot of expectations as far as this address to the nation is concerned. And to some extent, a lot of people are like, we need to hear the real state of the nation, what people are feeling on the ground, as opposed to having a feel-good statement from the head of state. Whereby you get to highlight what your government has been able to achieve in the past 1 year and maybe what they're planning to do as far as their manifesto is concerned. To some extent, some people will feel like that is not the reality on the ground. When you ask a Kenyan out there what the real state of the nation for them is, they could be able to, you know, point out quite a number of things that to them are negative, are not working in favor of the government. But in most cases, we might not get to hear that from the head of state.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Brian, for this opportunity and also for inviting me into your show. To just pick up from your question, firstly, I expect a very, again, as highlighted, very honest discussion and a very honest state of the nation. In such a situation where mostly the president, as of last year's State of the Nation address, he has literally created some level of a scorecard kind of address and say, we have brought fertilizer, we have brought housing, people are living in better houses, newer jobs and whatnot. But generally, the real state of the nation, the real, what Mwananchi would highlight as the real state of the nation is not really a really clear picture that is of that I can say it's a really pretty picture. 70%, 75% having highlighted that the nation is not going in the right direction. Policy-wise, we have seen a lot of regressive laws, a lot of regressive policies coming into play or being discussed. So in this state of the nation, what we really expect to hear or to be highlighted are the really real issues. Don't tell us about inflation having gone from 7 to 2%, whereas the real question will be, do I really have enough money to afford basic commodities? The consumer price index moving from digit X to digit Y. However, the real affordability of unga, when you say we are going to the supermarket, is it 100 or is it 82? So you don't really need to hype up what is what can be seen as the real state. So for me, in this situation, I expect total, very honest conversation, very candid ideas on what really is our education, where is our education sector at, what really is our health status at, health sector at, is the community system strengthening that community health system strengthening that the president spoke about, in bringing in community health workers, is it really working or was it just a fluke? And also to touch on various things to do with security, security of persons within the country. Do we have foreign operatives operating within the country?
So all these things,
all these things in a nutshell, I really expect to hear the real state of the nation based on the perspective or the owners of the nations, the persons living within the nations and getting the real feel of what they feel each and every single day. And
you said we need a very candid conversation, and I don't know if you're going to get that. But this is what Prof mentioned, an article, 132, that is, I believe, Chapter 9 of the Constitution on issues on when the President can actually get to address the National Assembly and the Senate, and that is addressing the opening of each newly elected Parliament. Of course, you saw that address a special sitting of Parliament once every year and may address Parliament in any other time, and once every year report in an address to the nation on all measures taken and the progress achieved in the realization of the national values referred to Article 10 of the Constitution. Let us take a look at this Article 10 of the Constitution and what exactly it says. Now, the national values and principles of governance in this article bind all state organs, state officers, public officers, and all persons whenever any of them applies or interprets this Constitution, enacts, applies, or interprets any law or makes or implements public policy decisions. The national values and principles of governance include patriotism, national unity, sharing and devolution of power, the rule of law, democracy and participation of the people. That is the first one. Human dignity, equity, social justice, inclusiveness, equality, human rights, non-discrimination and protection of the marginalized, good governance, integrity, transparency and accountability, and also sustainable development. Now, I want us to cross over to the National Assembly where my colleague Joel Chacha is at the moment, before we come back and, take a look at this Article 10 of the Constitution and whether these issues actually should be forming the basis of the State of the Nation address from the head of state this afternoon. Chacha, over to you.
Well, a very good afternoon to you. Right now, several guests, special guests, and of course members of parliament and as well cabinet secretaries are actually trickling in the parliament buildings ahead of the State of the Nation address at around 2:30 p.m. Right now, the weather is okay, and anytime from now, President William Ruto will be making his way to the National Assembly and just Parliament at large, considering this is a joint sitting. But now I'm joined by the Deputy Minority Whip in the National Assembly, Honorable Mark Mwenje. Thank you so much for getting time. President William Ruto will be addressing the nation today. Last year, you stormed out as the minority. This time round, you'll be sitting to listen to the president. What are your expectations?
Thank you very much. Today we are here for the State of the Nation, and these are constitutional requirements. And one of the things that we as Parliament, our role is to oversight the executive. So we want to hear the agenda that the President will be laying out. We expect the President to address the concerns that the common mwananchi is raising. The issues of healthcare are an issue that is a thorn. The issue of education and JSS as we transform, that is an issue that is of concern. There is an issue of employment for the youths and generally the cost of living within our country, although it's come down. There's in certain areas that need to be talked about. His plan going forward in the second half of his term. So we expect him to lay down these issues. So we're here today to listen, and we hope the President today will not just be speaking to Parliament as is required by the law, but will be speaking to the common mwananchi, telling them the agenda, showing them what they intend to do, and that's why we are here to listen. Obviously, thereafter we'll have a chance to debate his speech. So I don't want to anticipate the debate that will come there, because we'll have our chance to debate it.
On the state of the economy, how are we doing so far in your own opinion?
I can't say we're doing very well, because as long as we have people who are going hungry, as long as we have youths who are complaining about jobs, people not getting employment, then it means we're not doing as well as Kenyans expected us to do. One of the things that we can mention is that we have the issue of cost of unga. There's some cost of goods which ideally we are going to admit have come down. So there are a few things that have come down, but Kenyans, there's also, as much as you bring the cost of unga down, then the cost of health goes up. So that means we're not balancing these issues, because there's no point to make food cheaper and then the cost of healthcare goes up. So these are some of the issues that we expect the President to be addressing, and he must speak to the Kenyans today, because there's a lot of hope, there's a lot of despair out there, but there's also a lot of hope in that things are going to get better. In
the middle of a financial year, we are reintroducing a part of the clauses of the rejected Finance Bill 2024, seeking to inject 178 billion Kenya shillings to the current budget. Overtaxation as an issue, does it concern you as a member, of course, from the minority side? Of course,
it's a huge issue. The issue of taxation nearly burnt this place down. It's just a couple of months ago, members of parliament had to be evacuated from this building. So it's an issue that is of concern. Although we have a cash crunch in our country, so that is another issue. We've seen some of the amendments that are coming in are giving people some amnesty to pay their taxes. So there are some good proposals that are there, but there are some other proposals that we need to have a conversation around. We need to understand if this is the right time to increase some of these taxes, because right now, unless you can demonstrate to Kenyans why you need to do this, there will always be a very negative sentiment within the country. So it is something that is of concern. It is something that we need the government, and we hope the president, as he's addressing the speech, he will be able to lay out some of these issues.
Let's touch on devolution, on the timely disbursement of funds, and as well the equitable share that, according to now the mediation committee that was formed, 387 billion is what the counties will get. Is it adequate?
You know what, I want to be very bold on this issue. The issue of governors trying to blackmail the country, the National Assembly, enough is enough. Counties have received close to 3.5 trillion since we brought in devolution. They need to show what they are doing. Before the finance bill failed, we had 400 billion that was going to the counties. So what was reduced? About 13 to 15 billion. NGCDF also, which is a fund that goes directly and has more impact to Kenyans down there, had lost over 10 billion. You don't see members of parliament, or you don't see, in fact we shouldn't say members of parliament, you don't see the people managing NGCDF complaining about that issue. If the bread basket has been reduced, then you do with what is there. When it comes to disbursement, KRA were able to show us that money has been disbursed, not KRA, the Ministry of Finance. They were able to show us that money has been disbursed to the counties. So it is time for the governors and the counties to get down and do business. If we feel that this issue of counties is not working, then let's have a referendum and decide, do we need these counties? Because they need to show us what development they are doing down there to the people. You can see other funds. What NGCDF is doing down there is something that can be seen. So the counties, this money that was reduced is because of the failed finance bill. They know that. We can't continue to keep blackmailing Parliament and telling Kenyans that those are the guys who are at fault. We lost over 250 billion in the finance bill. So let us all accept that everybody must take a cut. NGCDF took a cut, the executive took a huge cut, counties only took a cut of only 13 billion. That is all that they lost.
Finally, Mhesh, on the issue of security, abduction, at a time, of course, during the Gen Z demonstrations, a friend of yours was also abducted. There have been concerns on the rising cases of abduction and as well extrajudicial killing. In fact, yesterday, Kizza Besigye, who is the opposition leader in Uganda, was allegedly abducted here in Nairobi. Is it something that you expect the president to address and come out clean? You know, and also compensation of the Gen Z demo victims.
We need to be clear. We are a sovereign nation. And the issues of matters concerning other nationals, other leaders like Kizza Besigye, those are issues that are of grave concern. We cannot be a country that is seen to interfere with the internal affairs of our neighbors or any other country. So this issue of Kizza Besigye is a very serious issue where we obviously don't seem to have all the information. But if he has been abducted on Kenyan soil, this is a very bad issue, whichever way. Because that shows if we cannot guarantee the security of leaders from other countries, then how can we guarantee even for our own citizens? The issues of abductions is something that seems to be creeping back. I was a child when these issues were happening during the 90s, and we thought that when Kibaki took over, these things were over, and during that time, and a lot of legislation, this new constitution that has come through, the courts that are there, have tried to, have given us a lot of gains towards stopping these things that happened back in the 90s. We can't afford to go back to those dark days. So this is something that we need to face our security organs and even the president himself straight on and tell him this is something that is damaging our country. If we carry on this way, you can be assured that even the international community, the US, the partners who work with us, will start to see as though we are a country that is going back into the dark days, and even that investor confidence and democracy that we fought so much for. Those things that the former Prime Minister Raila Odinga, who you know has fought for this constitution, and many other leaders, we can't afford to lose these things overnight.
Finally, the indictment of Adani.
Wow. You know, we were giving these people the benefit of doubt, Adani, and clearly it's becoming now a thorn in this government. And while, you know, when it comes to PPPs, the expressway is right there. We know what it takes when you have PPPs, you have partners who come in and are able to do things well. I think the due diligence with regards to Adani has not been well done. It is something that Kenyans have been complaining about, and we need the executive now to come out and deal with this issue once and for all. Otherwise, this is an issue that is distracting us from all the other issues that are concerning Kenyans.
Well, thank you so much, Honorable Mark Mwenje. He is the Deputy Minority Whip in the National Assembly. This is just minutes before President William Ruto makes his way to the Parliament buildings for his annual address here at, of course, that is on the State of the Nation. As of now, that, of course, just some of the actions from members. We'll still be here to speak even to the same members even after President William Ruto addresses the nation this afternoon. It's back to you in studio.
That is Jail Church, of course, at Parliament Buildings, bringing us up to speed with exactly what is happening on that particular front. And of course, we continue our conversation as we wait for the head of state to make his way to the National Assembly for the State of the Nation address. And I want us to pick where Chacha has left it on the issue to do with abductions. Going back to the Constitution on Article 10 that I was reading before we actually crossed over to the National Assembly. And there's human dignity, equality, social justice, inclusiveness, equality, human rights, non-discrimination, and protection of the marginalized. This is one aspect that when the head of state takes to the podium to get to address the nation, is supposed to be giving us, what a report card on exactly where we are, where we are at the moment, and where we hope to be in the coming days. With the current state of the nation, from where you sit, Prof, where are we as far as these issues are concerned?
We have a dichotomy. We have two states of the nation, and also we have two nations. There is a nation of those who enjoy the privileges of the country, and the privileges who suffer the burden of that. So, for example, you hear the president say the other day that there is no abduction that he's aware of. There is no one who has been abducted. There is no one who has been lost. And he said that if you have any name, you should take it to him, isn't it? But the Kenyans have families that they cannot account for. There are people who disappeared. We know the issue of the Kware death. So there are two states of the nation here. There is the state of the nation of the people in power, who are the state officers, who do not know what people go through, or at least they chose to ignore willfully. But you have the state of the nation, the one you had the sound spokes in Kiambu, you had the sound spokes of people in Muranga. Like I saw, this month, the government imported 1.48 billion worth of powdered milk from outside the country. While if you go to Mukurweni, you go to Odaya Dairy, you go to Ginduru Dairy, they have milk they are trying to market, to sell. So who is this who is going to look for importing powder milk, which is not even good quality in terms of nutrition, from outside the country, while their own nationals have milk which they are not able to sell? You see, for example, school, Moi University is going down. That is, Moi University is a pillar of the Rift Valley economic bloc. When Moi University goes down and you are watching, what are we talking about here? Are you getting me? The president promised 50,000 affordable housing last time when he was addressing the State of the Nation in 2023. The last report I saw, there were 1,800 of them, isn't it? So the State of the Nation, are we going to have the real State of the Nation, or we are going to have perceived State of the Nation? What these people are playing for us is perception. And I want this discussion to be very clear. So if you look about the issue of abduction, who needs to be telling us how many people have been abducted, isn't it? Can you be abducted by just a private citizen? Abduction are always done by state operative. That's why it's there in the Constitution that people are against it. Because the Constitution was not brought to protect the government against the people. The Constitution was brought to protect the people against the government, because the government don't need protection. They have the financial muscle, they have the security apparatus, so it is for the people. Who should be giving us the State of the Nation report on abduction? If there was honesty from the president's office, then we should rely on him. Now, we are having a problem here that I'm trying to ask the president that maybe this is the day that I told you God has given to him.